welcome to another African tarot story. It's your girl Ashe. Today we're going to be talking about the Six of Wands. Please excuse any noise, traffic, talking. A lot goes around. A lot happens around here, and I built this space literally right by the road. So it's a great space for me to get customers, but maybe not the best space to do these stories, but it's just so much better than where I was, right? And if you hear the wind chimes or anything like that, it's really just confirmation from the wind. Maybe it's confirmation from Oya. So, Six of Wands. So, look at this. Check this out. Our ancestor today is actually Jesse Owens, but y'all know that Jackie Robinson came in. Y'all know because I just assumed that it was Jackie Robinson. So I started doing research, and then I realized that he wanted and he needed to get some love as well. So one thing that I love about Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens, I cannot remember their names right now, but the men who had that famous picture of the men with their fists up, these people went through so much, and the fact that they were so able to accomplish what they have accomplished is just absolutely amazing. Jesse Owens with going to Nazi Germany, and they they treated him pretty well when he came in, but of course Hitler didn't want to shake his hand when he won the races that he won, and he didn't just win track and field, but a multitude of 200, 400 hurdles, just track and field, right? That's all track and field, but just a lot of different races. And the records that Jesse Owens actually set has been set for like 20 years before someone could even go past his record. So the man was absolutely amazing. Jackie Robinson was not just good at baseball. I know these are athletes that a lot of us are familiar with, but I'm not sure. Maybe the new generation isn't. But Jackie Robinson was good at basketball, track and field. Baseball was actually one of his least sports, kind of like a Michael Jordan, right? Doing baseball. So this was just absolutely amazing men. The league wasn't even segregated. Excuse me, not segregated, integrated. There were no black people playing baseball until Jackie Robinson came into the scene. His brother, I want to say Matt Robinson, I'm also told that I need to give him some honor as well because he was in the Olympics. And what's so interesting about these stories is that, yes, these people were famous and champions and just absolute, legendary heroes, right? In American history, especially in Black American history and just American history in general. But when these men went home, they could not find jobs. Some of these men, like Matt Robinson, he had to take a job as a garbage man. I know the men who had their fists up. For some reason, I'm really losing their names, but people had chopped up pieces of their dogs on their doorstep. There were death threats when they won the Olympics, and it was really hard for them to find jobs as well. I believe one of those two men had to become custodians as well. Jackie Robinson was lucky enough to continue to do sports and to get into banking and politics and radio, but unfortunately he had to see his brother go through that. Matt Robinson and Jesse Owens, Jesse Owens wasn't even invited to the White House after FDR did not even invite him to the White House after he won the Olympics. This is just the hypocrisy that we know to be in America, right? And, luckily I'm in the Caribbean right now, so hopefully some of my Caribbean audience, if they didn't know that, then maybe they'll get like kind of a viewpoint into some of the African American history as well, and maybe they can connect it to some of the legendary heroes in the Caribbean also. So our African story is Kintu, and I guess that's the wind chimes starting the story off for us. So this is Kintu, the legendary hero, the legendary king of Uganda. This story is set in northern Africa, and Kintu was, basically living in his peaceful, like, grass hut. I do have the story in the description box below, so you can check it out as well. Side note. But, he was living peacefully, drinking cow's milk, when the sky god and his daughter Nyambi and her two brothers came down from the sky to visit Earth. Now, when Nyambi saw Kintu, she immediately fell in love with Kintu. And her brothers were absolutely hating. Just to put it, her brothers were absolutely hating. She was telling them how she wanted to marry Kintu. There was no man kinder, sweeter than Kintu. And her brothers were just like, how do we know that this man is really Kintu? This man only drinks cow's milk. He could be a sorcerer. He could be an animal in disguise. They thought that this man had tricked and put like a spell on their sister, right? So she goes up to her father and tells her father, Gulu, oh my gosh, I have to marry Kintu, Dad. Like, I would love your blessing to marry this man. And of course the brothers go and tell their father, we do not know this man. We do not know if this man is really Kintu. So Gulu wisely says, okay, I will test this man and we will see if this man is truly Kintu. Nyambi goes back to Earth to meet with Kintu to take him back up to the Sky Kingdom, to heaven, and finds that he no longer has his cow. She's immediately afraid that he has starved to death because he does not have his cow. Little does she know that her brothers had actually stolen his cow, thinking that Kintu would starve to death, and because he didn't have any cow's milk to drink. But Kintu immediately adapted, started eating berries, plants, and Nyambi luckily found her lover Kintu in his home. And scared that she wasn't gonna find him and stuff. Of course, she's more like, oh my gosh, Kintu, like, I'm so glad that you didn't die. I love you so much. I wish you ever happiness. That's all I wish for you. Please come back up to the Sky Kingdom with me and marry me. Of course, Nyambi has Kintu's heart, and he goes up to the Sky Kingdom with her. When he goes up to the Sky Kingdom, he is amazed at what he sees. Planting trees, grassland, greenery, herds of cattle, the amount of cattle he's never, seen before in his life. And he goes to Gulu. Nyambi presents Kintu to Gulu, and Gulu tells him, okay, if you want to marry my daughter, you are going to have to prove yourself. You are going to have to pass these tests. So the first test he puts Kintu through. Here are all these baskets of food. You are going to have to eat all these baskets of food. Sadly, Kintu begins to eat. He gets to, the fullness of his belly and doesn't know what he's going to do. How is he going to eat all these baskets? Miraculously, the floor opens up beneath him. And he quickly throws the food into the hole that's opened up in the earth. And it shuts back up. And he calls in the servants to take away the baskets. The brother, the king, are absolutely amazed. How did he do that? They're looking everywhere for the food. They cannot find the food. So the king is like, no. I got another test for you. Here is a copper axe. I don't want regular firewood. I want firewood from rocks. So Kintu again sadly goes out to get the firewood from rocks. He knows that if he takes this axe and cuts at these rocks, his axe is gonna break, right? So now he's like, dang, like, how am I gonna do this? My axe is gonna break. He takes a look at the rock. He takes a look again and sees that the rock has already basically broken up into little pieces for him. So he goes and he collects it. He takes the little pieces off of the rocks. He collects the little firewood rock and presents it to Gulu. Gulu is still not satisfied. He's like, well, I got another test for you. I want you to go and collect a bucket of dew. So he sets out at night. How is he going to collect a bucket of dew? And finds himself asleep. Suddenly he's awoken by some, unknown energy or cause. And when he awakens, he sees that the grass all has dew on it, and his bucket is full with dew. Again, miraculously. he brings the bucket to Gulu. Now Nyambi is just like, Father, obviously this man is Kintu. Let me marry this man. He's like, nah, I got one more test. If he can find his cow in all of the herd that I have in the kingdom, then I know for sure that this man is Kintu. So, of course, he gives Kintu the assignment. Now, Guru has a lot of herd. How is he going to find his cattle? His particular cow, right? So a bee comes up to Kintu and whispers in Kintu's ear, hey, whichever cow that I land on is your cow. So now, the day of the assignment, Kintu goes out. He pretends that he's looking for the cow, but he keeps the bee in his peripherals, in the corner of his eye, right? And so, as he sees the bee land on his cow, he takes his stick and says, aha, this is my cow. And then the bee goes onto a young heifer. And he says, and that is the cow's, basically, I don't want to say daughter, but you know, this is the heifer. Like, the cow gave birth to a small calf, right? They're shocked, you know, and obviously this man is Kintu. Gulu goes ahead, blesses their marriage, blesses their love, gives them plantain trees, seeds, you know, chickens, all the beautiful things that you receive when you decide to commit to somebody, right? And tells Nyambi, okay, when you guys go back down to earth, you must hurry, because if your brother, Ulambe, sees you guys, he has to come down to earth before he sees you all. So hurry down to earth before he sees y'all. She says, okay, cool. They go ahead and they make their trip back down to earth. Halfway through, Nyambi's like, oh my gosh, I forgot the grain for the chickens. I'm going to hurry back and get the grain for the chickens. Big mistake, right? When she hurries back, she sees Gulu. And Gulu is like, didn't I tell you not to come back? And she, you know, sadly starts to descend from heaven to return back to earth. And of course, her brother Wulambe sees her. And now Wulambe has to go back to earth with them. Now everything goes fine, you know, they have their kids, they're able to plant their seeds, they're planting trees, everything's great, they're fruitful, they have a happy life. However, Wulambe is actually death. So her brother is the energy of death, and as we all know, you cannot escape death. So as her kids get older and stuff, he slowly starts taking her kids, and eventually there is no person who can escape Wulambe's basically hold or take, right? Only person Wulambe leaves alone is Kintu, and Kintu is allowed to continue to spread goodness to everyone. So that is the story of the Six of Wands. And of course, this card, especially in the Right-of-Way, right? In this deck as well, this is celebration, this is victory. I think definitely this person has won, despite all the odds. But look, there's also people celebrating you in this card. It's not just a celebration by yourself, but it's a celebration with, like, everyone. Sorry, my head, right? But it's a grand celebration with everyone, and you get your just due. Now, in the reverse, there's envy, there's jealousy, there's haters, you know, all the kind of stuff that comes with success and fame and all that good hateration stuff, right? So hopefully that gave you a bigger insight into the Six of Wands. It's a beautiful card to pull out in a reading, right? And definitely go ahead and check out the description box below if you want more insight on Jesse Robinson, Jesse Owens. Ashe to both of them. Much respect to both of them. They definitely changed history and changed society in America and globally, definitely globally as well. And of course, if you want to check out the story for yourself, you want to read it for yourself, I have that for you guys as well, okay? All right. Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bisous.